Hi, everybody. Oh my gosh, this feels so weird. Okay, so haven't done a live stream here in a long time. Welcome. Um, can you guys hear me and see me okay? I want to make sure my microphone is actually working. Okay. Hey, thank you for commenting. I was like, is anybody there? Is it just me? Okay, cool. Thank you, Amani, for commenting and letting me know. So, okay. We have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to talk about. I am curious to know how you guys are doing today. I'm excited to have this conversation. I'm a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie, because it's been a long time since I've gone live on YouTube. And yeah, for whatever reason, that makes me nervous, even though I go live all the time. But by the title of this video, you can see that this is gonna be a life update video. So grab your tea. I have my tea, and I'm pulling up my notes because yeah, I knew that I would probably be nervous, so I decided to come prepared. But yeah, let me know in the comments like who's watching because I can't. It's not like Instagram where I can see your names as you're joining, so I have no idea who's watching. So let me know like who's watching, where you're from, if you've been here for a while, if you just subscribed, like let me know. And I'm gonna try to find my notes in the meantime. Let me know where you guys are watching from. Okay, let's see. I'm also gonna leave this up too, so like if people don't stay for the whole time, or if people hop on later, or they watch the replay, it'll be here. So I'm planning to leave this up. Um, okay, I found my notes. Hi Jennifer, thank you for joining. Wait, are you were you in the meditation that I did earlier today? Adder, your name is like Adder or something like that in the Insight Timer app. Um, Amani says doing all right. Little brother getting on my nerves. Finally relaxing. I'm excited to watch. I'm in NC. I've been subscribed for a while. Oh, I'm in North Carolina too. Whoop, whoop. Okay, so yeah. Thank you guys for being here. Hi Carla, watching from New York. Thank you. Thank you guys for welcoming me back here. I really was like, I don't really know of anyone. I'm gonna be super real with you guys in this live, by the way. Like, I'm gonna be super transparent, but I legit was like, I don't even know if anyone is going to care that I'm coming back. I don't know if anyone's still gonna watch. Like, I know that people are still subscribed to the channel. Hi, Janice, but I was just like, I don't know. I don't know what it's really giving. So I appreciate you guys being here for engaging with me, commenting, letting me know where you are, how you're doing. Um, where should we start? Hey, Lene. Okay, where should we start? So on my notes here, I have why I left LA as the first place to start. Should we start there? Is that where we should start? Let me know in the comments what you guys want to know about first. And yeah, I'll start there. Oh, okay, here in LA, but now you're back over in the East. Yes. Okay, that's where we'll start. I see Jennifer says yes. I'm assuming that's yes to wanting to start with that topic. So that's where we're gonna start. Okay. Hi, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Hashav? Hello, Hashav. I hope I said that right. All right, I'm gonna start with why I left LA. So, for those of you who don't know, I used to live in Los Angeles, Los Angeles County. I didn't live in like downtown LA. LA is like I don't even feel like getting into all of that. I lived in Los Angeles County. If you know, you know. So, I moved there in July of 2019, and I documented the whole journey here on my YouTube channel. A lot of you watching right now actually followed along on that journey. So you probably remember like the road trip I took with my sister. We stopped in all these different I was about to say countries. We stopped in all these different states. We just had a great time, and I literally documented just about every day of that experience. And then when I got to LA, I documented like the first, I would say consistently the first 3 months of me being there. So, like looking for a job, looking for a place, the ups and downs of that. So, if you missed that journey, you know, want to go check out that playlist. It's called, I think it's called From Fear to Faith or something like that. Or it might just be called like Moving to LA. I don't remember, but it is on my channel, and I suggest going back and watching it if you haven't seen it. So yeah, so that happened. That was 2019. And then in 2020, I um I shared this also in the vlogs, but the job that I started at Red Table Talk, um, I got laid off of unexpectedly. And this was like 2 or 3 months before the pandemic started. So it was a rough experience that moment. And I don't want to say my entire experience in LA was rough, because the entire experience was not rough, but that period of time, of course, was rocky, right? I think period of time, of course. I just opened it on my phone. But yeah, I mean, I think that was a rocky period for a lot of people, right? Like I'm pretty sure everybody has their 2020 story and how they had to overcome something and navigate something. So yeah, go back and check that out if you missed it. But specifically why I left, I mean, so what you didn't see, right? Like, because I kind of stopped blogging around the pandemic. I felt like that's when I kind of stopped. But what you didn't see, I did talk about it though on my podcast. Um, was I went through a really difficult breakup while I was there. And so being, getting laid off, and then the pandemic hit, and then a breakup, or actually breakup first, then the pandemic hit. It was just a lot going on. So from like March until like May was like really, really difficult. And then in, I would probably say like April, I started to feel a little bit better. And then, yeah, April, May, like things started to change. And I'm like, okay, things are going well. Things are slowly starting to open back up. Like at that point, I had made some friends, and I was working again. So it was just like things were just, looking up and up, and I had no intention of leaving. And then, and then I started having these dreams. I started having very vivid dreams of myself um, spending time with women in my family that I'm not really that close to. Some people I was close to, but just the women in my family. I started having these dreams. Now, I also want to preface this with, at the time, I was taking this womb wellness course that I've talked about so many times with Danielle Louds Barton from When She Blooms, right? So I'm taking this course, and we're focused on womb wellness, right? So we're focused on generational trauma, generational healing. We're focused on like ancestral work. We're focused on just doing like some deep, deep healing work, like breath. That's how I got introduced to breath work. For those who don't know, like I'm certified in breath work and meditation. That happened during the pandemic too. Um, but yeah, like it was just very deep spiritual transformational work happening. And I started having these very vivid dreams about the women in my family, like sharing experiences with them, doing different things with them. I'm not gonna get fully into the dreams, but like it was just to the point where it was like nonstop, right? And at this point, it was probably like maybe around like July or so. And I had already had this feeling about LA, which I'm gonna get into about like where some of these feelings about LA came from. But I had already had these feelings about LA around like not really being sure if I was gonna stay. So I was already kind of like Maybe I'll move like somewhere where there's like more black people. Like maybe I'll move to like Oakland, or maybe I'll like try out a place completely different, like San Diego. Like I didn't know. I thought I was going to stay in California, but I really didn't know. But my brain said, okay, we're just gonna move somewhere else in California because maybe you just don't like LA. And so I start having these dreams, and then by like August, I'm like, I wish I knew the exact date. Let me see if I can find it. Um, Let me check on my computer actually. So what I'm looking for is the day that I got confirmation that I was leaving. And it was a lot. Um, it was a lot for me. I can't find it, but I know it was sometime between like July and August maybe, where I remember I was at the beach with my friend Fatima. If she happens to watch this or is watching this, hey girl, hey. But I was at the beach in LA, and I remember it was nighttime, it was a full moon, and we were just like chilling at the beach. Like that's just a thing that people do that people do in LA. Go to the beach at night and just like chill, like music playing, vibing. And we're just sitting there chilling. I'm standing by the water, I'm listening to the ocean, and I remember just standing there and like God spoke so clearly and said to me, "You're going to miss this." And I was like, immediately I got emotional because I already knew what it was. I already knew that it was like confirmation that it was time for me to go. And I was sad because I was starting to feel like I was like starting to finally enjoy my experience in LA. And like I said, I'll share some of the things that happened that I didn't include in the vlogs that made me feel unsettled there. But hi, is that Ebony? Ebony? Welcome. So yeah, so I felt that. I heard that and I was like, dang. So this means like I'm really leaving. And I remember just being like kind of sad. And I told my friend and we talked about it and she was like, "Oh my gosh, like, are you really gonna leave?" And I'm like, yeah, I feel like I have to because it's so clear. Like that was so clear that I can't deny what God just told me. So I started praying and praying and praying and asking God for clarity on where should I go? Where am I going? If I'm not gonna be here, where am I going? And it became clear through dreams, it became clear through um, spiritual guidance that I have in my life. It became clear in every single way possible that I was moving to North Carolina, which is insane because for me to be in North Carolina is so random for me, even though like I have family here. Never, ever, 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 ever in a million years did I think that I would live here. Like it was actually the biggest joke I felt like I always had with like my brother, especially. Like every time we would come to North Carolina, we would always be like, why do people choose to live in North Carolina? Like, w- w- why would you? Yes, I'm back on the East Coast, Lene. I've been here for like a year. But yeah, like, why would you? North Carolina, no shade to anybody that's in North Carolina, by the way. I love it here. I love it here now, but like I didn't know. So it was huge. It was a huge, huge, huge jump. It's so funny that you want to live in LA and I used to live there and now I live here. But yeah, it was a huge shift. So I got that confirmation in like August, September. I was like still like, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to do this? And then I kept praying on it and I took a solo trip to Palm Springs, which is the desert for those who've never been out in the desert by myself. I just went on this like weekend trip and I again got more confirmation that it was time to go and that I was going to North Carolina and I was just like, all right, God, this is what we're doing. Cool. So also in October, I decided to launch my nonprofit, which, if you don't know, it's so cool to think about how, like, I have a whole nonprofit that was birthed through. Really, the start of it came from this YouTube channel. Like, even the name of it is like it ties in with this YouTube channel and the journey that I've been on. So, for those who don't know, the nonprofit is called Soul Beauty Outreach, and it just brings me joy to think about this journey. But it is a nonprofit that I created with the intention of providing mental health and mindfulness resources, meditation classes, workshops to women who are experiencing homelessness. I did talk about my journey of being unhoused a long time ago on my YouTube channel where I did not have a place to stay. If you missed that video, you're gonna want to go back and check that one out too. But so that seed was already planted in my mind of having a heart for people who especially women who do not have a place to call home. And yeah, so in October of last year, in the midst of deciding that I'm uprooting my life for the second time, I also took the brave step of launching my nonprofit. So here we are. I am going to answer the questions that are coming in, but I want to share a little bit about the things that led me to decide to leave LA. Well, outside of the confirmation I got from God, right? But not even the things that led me to leave, but the things that made me feel unsettled there. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard this before, but LA has an energy to it. Everywhere has an energy to it, right? Every city, every place has a vibration. Everything has energy. And LA is no different. And if you guys have been following me for a while, like even like Lene, you might even remember when we worked together. I feel like I always dreamt of living in LA. Like that was something I always talked about. It was something I always prayed about. It was like I just was like, I can't wait to live there. I'm gonna move there one day. Like it was always my thing. And see, y'all know the energy already. And I remember when I got there, right? I drove with my sister across country. I get there. And you can see the real feelings of this if you go back and watch the vlog where when my sister left and I was like, dang, this feels real now. Like at first it felt like I was just on vacation, like all the other times I came and visited, but it felt different. And I was just like, okay, I don't know. It feels different. It feels like just an uneasiness. And I just assumed it was because of the huge change that I made, right? Like moving from New Jersey to LA, driving across country for a week is like, that's a lot of shifts happening, right? At one time. So I was just like, I just kind of shrugged it off as that. But LA really has an energy to it. And before I moved there, people will always say, like, oh, people in LA are so fake, or oh, people wear this, people are that. And I was kind of just like, people are gonna be people. It don't matter where you are. Like, if you have good energy, you're gonna attract good energy, which is true. And I do feel like I attracted good energy. But also, when you have good energy, you also attract bad energy. It's almost like flies to a light, right? It's like they're just drawn to it. Whether it's good or bad, people are drawn to light, right? And so my energy being my energy, it drew out really good people and it also drew in really creepy people and scary people. So I'm gonna share a little story time. I'm gonna share a very creepy encounter I had in my first like couple of days of being in LA. And yeah, it's kind of like I feel like I have like I don't want to say that loosely and but I feel like, that experience still lives in the front of my mind. So thinking about it is kind of but we're gonna talk about it. So so probably like my second day there, second or third second day there maybe. Yes, exactly, Lene. Exactly. So let me just comment on this real fast. So if y'all don't know who Sade Watkins is on YouTube, she's one of my favorite YouTubers, right? And a few weeks ago, I think she posted a live video talking about a bunch of stuff, but she shared in particular her thoughts around California and LA. And when she was talking about that, I was literally screaming because I'm like, "Same, sis, same." Like, it's just yes. So if you watch that, you already know. But, like, yeah. So 2nd or 3rd day the 3rd day there, excuse me, and I when I travel, or at least in the past when I traveled, I'm very, like, a lot of times I'm very, like, open to meeting new people and having new experiences. So I didn't want to do the traditional of staying in a hotel. Like, I wanted to be exposed to the people in the city. So me being a little Miss Adventure, I was like, well, I'm gonna stay. I think the first night I stayed in the Airbnb. For some reason, I'm struggling to think of like the first night where I stayed. It might okay. The first night I did stay in an Airbnb, but I think I decided to try out a hostel the 2nd or 3rd night that I was there. For those who don't know, I know hostels sound crazy, right? The sound of a hostel sounds crazy, but it really is just like a shared Airbnb, right? The one that I stayed in was really nice. It was very modern. It was beautiful. It looked like something off of Pinterest. It was just shared. You just share space with other people who are also traveling. So I was like, well, let me be adventurous and try it out. I've always wanted to do it. I'm gonna do it. So I booked the place. Well, I booked it in advance. I get there. It's like, um, what area was it in? I want to say it was like kind of in the Melrose area. I think. Oh, I don't remember. I can see the street in my mind, but I don't remember what area it was in. So So anyway, I get there, I check my stuff in, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go out and explore. Like, I'm here. I'm gonna go explore. I'm gonna go hang out. So I forget where I went first, but I know eventually at some point in the evening I got hungry. So I was like, let me go get something to eat. So I decided to go to this restaurant called Blaze Pizza. And I'm driving, and if you guys ever been to LA or you know anything about LA, most places it's like super hard to find parking. So I'm like looking for parking, and I realized that the pizza place is inside of a mall. And I'm like, I'm not going into a mall. That's like, no, I don't want to go to a mall. So I was like, I'm gonna find the next closest Blaze Pizza. So I look it up, and it's in Burbank, which is outside of like the LA area that I was in. Burbank is like a little further east, I believe. So, and it's like a normal residential area. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna drive there. I've never been before. Let's go. So I'm in my car, I'm driving. Sun is starting to set. It's like a vibe. I'm like, okay, I'm loving this. I'm driving and I'm on, I forget the name of the street, but it was like a multiple lane street and not a highway though. It was like, with lights and stuff. So I get to a light, and you know how like sometimes when you get to a light, and comment if you've been here before, where you stopped at a light and you look to your right or your left and you like just make eye contact with the person next to you, like not intentionally, it just happens, right? So that's what happened to me. I'm driving and I just, like I said, it's beautiful. I got my music playing, the sun is setting. It's just a vibe. I'm feeling good. I'm probably dancing and singing. And I look to my right and I lock eyes with the guy in the car next to me, and it was like a red, I want to say it was like a red truck. I don't know what color the truck was, but it was definitely a truck. And the guy at, first glance, I don't know his nationality, but at first glance, he looked like a white guy, like bald, kind of like buzz head, darker features, like dark brows, dark eyes. Just like, nothing special. He definitely wasn't like someone I was attracted to. So it wasn't like we looked at each other and was like, it was kind of like I just looked at him and was like, okay, that was weird. And I looked away. And it was weird because of like, it's hard to describe, but it's just a certain look that people give you when you know that like, that didn't sit right with me. That didn't feel right in my spirit. And that's how it felt. It was like we looked at each other and I was like, immediately looked away. And I was like, I felt like that ickiness, right? So I was like, okay, that was weird. And I just like kept driving, right? The light changed, I kept driving. So I'm like, okay, trying to just shake it off, but in my body, I still feel like that was a weird experience. So I get to the pizza place, probably like 5 minutes down the road. At this point, it's like the sun is pretty much set, so it's like dark at this point, or not like dark dark, but like the sun just set dark. So I park my car and I walk over to the pizza place. I get online. Now I go to this pizza, not this particular one, but this chain of pizza places all the time. It's like a Chipotle. So I know exactly what I want, right? And they have a bunch of options. So I walk inside, I say my order. I'm starting telling them what I want, like quick on it, right? Because I'm a regular. That's what you do when you're a regular. So I'm, looking down, probably looking at my phone or something, and somebody comes in the door next to me and stands beside me, and they're looking up at the menu to order their food. And I didn't look up right away, but I heard the person say, "Hey, how you doing? Welcome to Blaze Pizza." And they're like, "What would you like to order?" And I hear the person like, kind of like stammering, like they didn't know what they wanted. And then then I decided to look up because I noticed like, okay, it's a white guy. I'm like, there's no way that this could be the same person. I look up, guess who it is? It's the same person. It's the same guy from the light. So now, mind you, I just told you the light. I probably drove like 5 minutes down the road after the light change. It was a straight shot, but it was like a 5 minute drive. So it wasn't just like we turned into the same like. So yeah, wow. So I'm like, okay, just calm down. It could just be a coincidence. Maybe he was already on his way here, but I'm like, but he don't know what he want though. And that's telling me that he probably wasn't coming here. Because if he was coming here, he probably would have already known what he wanted. Because hello, it's like when you walk in Chipotle, you know what you want, right? When you walk into places you were planning to go to, you're usually like, you know what I mean? So I was like, yeah, this don't feel right. So I ordered my food. And initially I was gonna get my food to go, but I was like, maybe I should stay here because it's a lot of people here. I'm gonna just chill. That probably would be the safest thing to do. So I sit down like I'm staying. I get comfortable. I get my drink and I'm just watching. I pull out my phone. I record a video. I send it to my friends in the group chat. I'm like, look, I don't know what's going on, but I think this is what's going on. Just in case, this is what this person looks like. So I sit down with my food. I start eating. I'm texting my friends the whole time. And he gets his stuff and he leaves. So I'm like, whew, okay, maybe I was tripping. Like he barely looked at me. He didn't say anything to me. Like it was just a normal person ordering pizza. Like nothing about the interaction felt like he was in there because of me. He was normal the whole time. So I was like, all right, maybe I'm tripping. Maybe it wasn't that deep. So I eat probably like half of my pizza. I'm like, all right, I feel a little better. I'm like, I'm gonna text y'all when I get to my destination or whatever. And they're like, okay. Walking up to my car. It's dark, by the way. Hi, Erica. Welcome. It's dark, by the way. It's nighttime at this point. I get to my car and I see, I wish I had an example to show y'all, but I see like, okay, let's pretend this is my car window, right? This right here is my car window. I see a little piece of paper just blowing in the wind in between the car window. I said, so I get in the car quick, snatch the paper as I'm getting in the car, close the door, lock the door, open the paper. I read it and it says, hi, my name is either Jack or Jim or something like that. And I just thought you were so beautiful. And I didn't know what to say when I saw you, but I just wanted to see if you would be interested in letting me take you out with a phone number. I'm sorry, what? What, sir? So, yeah. So from that moment, I'm sure like any other woman watching this right now, panic, right? Complete panic over my body because I'm like, number one, this man just followed me. Number two, he's know what car that I got out of, and I don't see him, but clearly he saw me. So where is he? He could still be here watching me. And just like the fear that washed over my body in that moment, like I remember just like I can't remember if I called or sent a voice memo to my friends, but I like immediately let them know what was going on. And I was just freaking out. So I put, you know, address in the GPS and I'm like, mind you, right? At the beginning of this, I shared that I was staying in a hostel that night. And hostels are not like hotels where you have a front desk that you have to check in. They're not set up like that. And so it's very casual to just walk into this place because it's travelers from all over, sharing a space. And I was just like, I can't go back there. I cannot go back there because there is no telling where this man is, if he's following me. And if so, he could easily just walk right behind me into where I'm supposed to be going to lay my head. So I said, absolutely not, no, not going back there. So what I ended up doing instead, thank God for my friend Janine, who lives in LA. Um, I just reached out to her and I was like, girl, the weirdest thing just happened. Like, I'm freaking out. Can I come to your place? And she was just like, absolutely. Like, you can come over. So I went and stayed at her house. And it was just like, exactly. God was protecting me because when I think about that, I'm just like, that is so scary to think about being all the way on the opposite side of the country, all the way by like completely by myself. And for something like that to happen, it's just like, and it was like my first couple of days there. So I didn't really know where I was, like I wasn't able to really like communicate where I was or anything. And what was so frustrating about the situation was I remember like shortly after, maybe the next day when I woke up, I called the police just to like see what could be done. I'm like, I have this person's phone number. I know what kind of car they drove because the paper that they ripped to write their little sketchy note on was actually like a GMC or whatever the car is called, GMC, I think. So it's like I knew what kind of car, I had an idea of what kind of car it was. And then I also had a description, I had a video, I had the person's name. So I'm like, okay, maybe I can do something. So let me just call. And I call and the lady on the phone is like, well, did he do anything to you? And I'm like, no. And she's like, well, unfortunately, we can't do anything. I said, so if this guy is still following me or continues to follow me and I'm have to protect myself in self-defense, then what? I was like, is this call being recorded? Because if something happens or something is happening, like record this call to know that like I called to try to report this and y'all basically said that y'all don't care and you can't help me. So yeah. So that was the first weird encounter. I'm weak at that comment. That was the first weird encounter. But the LAPD don't care at all. They don't. Oh my gosh. I'm trying not to get upset resharing this story, but I want to share because I really feel like this is not just coincidence. When I tell you guys, stuff like that has never happened to me. And I've gone so many places by myself, right? I've gone to the desert by myself. I've gone to so many places by myself where I just be out here living my best life, having a great time. But this was just like a weird, heavy energy. And I felt like that energy remained throughout majority of my experience while I was there. So another example, um, this was probably in the end of September, October. It was right before I got the job at Red Table Talk. So again, I'm staying at an Airbnb. I literally spent my last at an Airbnb, right? And the Airbnb was in the hood. It was in Inglewood. If y'all only knew. It was in the hood. It was in Inglewood. It wasn't like in the scary hood, but it was still the hood, right? So I was like, okay, this wasn't ideal. Like I would prefer to not be in this Airbnb, but I'm here. I remember the first day I got there. Mind you, all of my stuff is in my car. Everything that I was bringing with me from New Jersey was in my car still. So I get to the Airbnb, and I remember my first day. I'm like, this don't feel right. Like it just didn't feel right. The building itself was like this weird gray color. You could tell it was freshly painted. I was near Crenshaw. Um, it was like this weird bluish gray color, almost like it kind of reminded me of like a prison a little bit. And it had like bars on the windows in the front, like on the lower levels. They all had bars around them, which is like sign number one, right? That tells you everything you need to know. Because why are there bars on the window? And then in this type of space, it was like basically it was all like it was an apartment building where all of the rooms were you could rent them out. and you share the kitchen and the bathroom. And my room happened to be directly across from the kitchen, and the bathroom was like adjacent to it. And oh, hey, okay, yes, catch the replay. Catch the replay. But yeah, so it was like adjacent, like I'm in that area. So I didn't have to like walk down the hall or anything like that. But because I was so close to the kitchen and bathroom, it was like I could always hear when people were coming in and out. And sometimes, in the mornings when I would be getting up and going to like coffee shops to like go work or to submit resumes or whatever I was doing, I would see people in passing. And every time I would see people, it was that same weird energy where like they would like be shifty or they wouldn't make eye contact or they wouldn't really speak. Like I was like, oh, good morning, being myself, oh, good morning. And then it would just be like they would be looking down or they would be looking away or like it was just weird. It was just weird energy from the moment I got there. Even the woman that like checked me in and gave me the key and everything, her energy was weird. I got in the room and I remember just feeling like, when you ever walk in a room like a hotel room or somebody's house, God forbid, but like just a space where you're just like, I don't really want to touch anything. That's how I felt. I was like, and this was before COVID, right? So like now we probably feel that way everywhere. But like, I was just like, right. Because I was just like, I don't know if I want to. Yeah, it was just like, I don't, this is not ideal. Mind you, just spent my last, by the way, on this Airbnb. This was my last. So I'm like, I'm here. I booked it for a month because I'm here. And lo and behold, God was working behind the scenes, right? God's working behind the scenes. I get this call about this job. I find out that it's at Red Table Talk. And I'm like, oh, this is dope. Red Table Talk located in Calabasas. If you are familiar with LA, Inglewood to Calabasas, that's in traffic, that's at least an hour. Very far from each other with traffic. So I was just like, okay, it is what it is. I'm going to the interview. So I remember I went to the interview. I get the job. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got the job. I'm so happy, right? Because I just spent my last. I was literally like, might have to head back to New Jersey if this doesn't work out. So, but it worked out. So I get the job, and then I'm starting on that Monday, I think. So Monday comes, and I'm like, exactly. See, look, you already know. I have to travel to the valley. Craziness. So Monday comes and I'm in this freaking Airbnb and okay, let me rewind because I forgot to share a part about what made this Airbnb so freaking creepy. So the guy that I was talking to, dating at the time, we were on the phone one night and we're talking and I'm sharing with him, we weren't even talking about the Airbnb. I'm just sharing about like whatever was happening that day. And as I'm talking, he literally stops me in the middle of talking. He's like, "What was that?" And I was like, "What was what?" Now, mind you, I'm laying in the dark on the phone talking because it's late, like I'm about to go to sleep. And I was like, "What was what?" And he was like, "What was that sound in the background?" He's like, "Did you hear that?" And I was like, immediately, I was like, "Stop!" I was like, I was like, "I don't know what you heard, but I don't want you to tell me what you heard because I have I just feel away." And I was like, I'll tell you later because it was nighttime and I wanted to actually get some sleep. So I was like, I'll tell you later. And he was like, okay. And then the following day or whenever when we talked, I told him why I stopped him from saying what he was about to say. And I was like, what were you about to say? And he was like, I don't know. It just felt like a phone in the space that you were in. So like while we were talking, he was like, where are you? That was what he asked me first before he said, did you hear that? So yeah, so that happened. And then I told him, I already had feelings about this place. And I was like, I feel like this place wasn't an apartment building beforehand. I feel like it was something else. I don't know if it was something where there was some negative energy and some things happened, but it was just a heavy energy. I felt it in the space. And weirdly enough, he could feel it through the phone. But it was just a heavy energy. And I'm sure if you know what I'm talking about, if not, I'm not going to go too deep into it. But like, it's just when some places have an energy, they have an energy. And I could just tell that like something happened in that space that I was in. And it just was not sitting right with my spirit. So that day, when I was supposed to be starting the job at Red Table Talk in Calabasas, right? At least an hour away in traffic, I had over the weekend went to see some apartments closer in that area, and I was like, "Okay, God, I feel like this is the apartment for me." And I actually vlogged this, so if you wanna go back and watch it, you can, but I was like, "God, I feel like this is the area for me. I feel like this is the apartment for me." Like, I only saw 1 apartment, by the way. It wasn't even like the shenanigans. It wasn't even like I was, like, hunting. I was like, "This is the place." So, I go, I see the place. Monday comes, I'm like praying I get approved for the place. The lady said she would call me back by the afternoon. And I was like, look, God, I can't come back to this Airbnb. I don't know what happened in this place. I don't know what's going on with these people that stand in this place, but I cannot come back here. So I took all my stuff out the room. I didn't even bring all my stuff in there. I was like, I didn't even unpack my car for real because I was like, I'm not staying here, even though I booked it for a month. So I took my stuff out the room. I said, I'm not coming back here. It don't matter where I have to go, but it's not here. And I got the apartment. So that night, after I got off work, right, after I got off work at Red Table Talk in Calabasas, I drive to my apartment and I'm just like, wow. Like it was like that feeling of like, wow, I did it. Like, okay, we did it. I could take a deep breath. And then at like midnight, I'm in Target buying a Casper mattress because life. But like so many things unfolded there. Like even that experience with the Casper mattress, like I lived on the second floor. There was no elevator in the building I lived in. So like dragging that heavy mattress from my car up the stairs was just like it was just like so I feel like it's so much to unpack. Like it's so hard for me to even like try and put into words right now all of the lessons that I learned while I was in LA, and maybe I'll make a separate video about that, but even, like, living in that apartment building, like, my second maybe, like, second week there, I met this guy that lived on the first floor who lived there for forever, and he had that same weird energy. Like, he had that same energy where, like, every time I saw him, I was like, "I feel like I need to go sage." Like, I feel like I need to, like because what was that? He was this older white guy. He had like I hate the stereotype, but like if you've ever watched any of those criminal shows, he was like the cliche like serial killer. Like everything about him was like the classic what you see on TV. And I was just like, this guy gives me the creeps every time I see him. Every single time I saw him, it was just like a heavy energy. And even being in that building, like there would be so many nights where there would be freaking and it was a let me also preface this by saying this was a quiet residential neighborhood. It wasn't like it was in the hood. This was a quiet residential family friendly neighborhood. Yet and still I will be waking up in the middle of the night and there's helicopters flying around my building. Or one day I walked outside of my building and it's probably like 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm going for my, little stroll, get my steps in. And there's a whole freaking SWAT team with guns standing in the middle of the street, just like looking for somebody. And I was just like, what is happening? Hi, Angela. Thank you. I was just like, it was just, so I'm going to conclude this part because I realized I've been talking about this the whole time and I really didn't intend to, but um, just the energy to it. And since moving, I have not felt that energy at all. Like, at all. It's been the complete opposite. And I'm so grateful for that. And I'm so grateful for what somebody else mentioned earlier, like just being protected. Like, if nothing else, one of the biggest things that I take away from that experience was like the protection of God is real. And staying plugged in and tapped in with God is real. Like, we need to have that because we never know what force is around us. Like it doesn't matter how positive or loving or kind we are. Like I said earlier, light attracts light and dark, not just light. We attract light and dark. So although I made some of the best, like met some of the coolest people I was in LA, like people that I'm still friends with to this day. Like every connection, I won't say every, but like 90% of the friendships that I made in LA, I'm still like tight with them to this day. Like we talk on a regular basis. But the encounters that I had, some of the dates that I had, woo child, I have to make a whole separate video about dating. it was it was just some dark stuff. Yeah, so, like I said, that's not the reason why I left, but it definitely was a reason why I just did not feel settled there. I never felt settled, and it's crazy because from, like, 20 years old, I wanted to live there, and I would visit all the time, and then I finally visited, and I was like I finally moved, and I immediately felt like I'd probably say within, like, the first 3 months of being there, I was like, "I don't know if this is for me." Like, it was pretty quick where I was like, "I don't think this is for me." So, yeah, I'm just grateful for God's protection and God's grace because that coulda went so many ways. That coulda went so many ways. But, yeah, I will definitely make a separate video about dating in general, my dating shenanigans, my dating adventures. Like my friends have had a running joke the whole time that I was in LA of like of like what did they call it? They said like I had like my own reality show and they were like I was their favorite reality show to watch. And every season it would just be like a different, I really feel like it could be a book, like my dating experiences could be a book, and maybe it will be one day. Um, because there's so many lessons that I've learned and I've documented them, like I wrote them all down because I'm like, I know that this can really help other people. I just don't know how to like put it together. So maybe it is a book. I don't know. But yeah, there was a lot. But I'm glad that you know, I don't have to fight that fight anymore. I don't have to fight that fight anymore. That's all I'll say. Um, so yeah, let me see. Let me look at my notes. All right, so I actually talked about a lot. Um, so let's talk about North Carolina. For those who don't know, I'm in Charlotte. I think somebody asked me earlier what part of North Carolina I'm in. Charlotte. I really, really, really enjoy it here. From the moment I got here, let's just talk about how God knows best, okay? Like, if you feel like God is pulling you somewhere or leading you somewhere or telling you that something is not for you and it's time to leave, right? Because sometimes things will not be for you and it's like, that don't mean it's time to leave. Sometimes it just means it's time for it. It's just a shifting is happening, right? But when God puts it on your spirit that it's time to go, when it's time to go, that means something's not aligned, and that means we have to be obedient to that. Like I believe that a lot of people ask me like, why was I so quick to make that decision, right? Like I didn't tell people, I didn't say, hey, do you think I should go? I literally was just like, God's telling me to leave, I'm leaving. Period. So it went from like I'm here 1 month to the next month, I'm packing up my apartment, selling all my stuff, and I'm out. It wasn't like something that I thought about for months and months and months. It was like, God is telling me to leave. I'm leaving because I feel like when God speaks to us and when He speaks to us clearly, especially when it comes to not being aligned, when something's not aligned, whether it's a relationship, a job, a friendship, a place that you're living, you know what that feeling feels like when something's not aligned. It's like that conviction, like you can't shake it. You can't escape that feeling of like something's not sitting right with me. We have to listen to that because I believe that blessings are attached to the other side of that when we're obedient, and I believe that a whole lot of hardships are attached to it when we're not obedient. So I wasn't trying to take that chance. I'm like, yeah, LA is cool, but look, I don't know what's on the other side of me deciding to stay here out of disobedience. So deuces, I'm out. And now that I'm here, from the moment that I got here, from the day that I got here, I kid you not, complete different light energy, positive energy, loving energy, radiant energy. Like meeting people left and right, and it's just like been good energy. Have not had a single experience like the experiences that I had consistently while I lived in LA. So yeah, that's that. It's almost 4 o'clock. I can't believe I spent most of the video talking about this. I really wanted to talk about so many other things. um I don't know if I can speed through them because there's a lot of things to talk about, but so I guess maybe we can make a part, maybe we'll do a part two or something. um How are you guys feeling? Let me know in the comment section what you're thinking. And let me know specifically if you have questions around this. Yes, come on, favorite diva. Make sure you hit that like button, okay? um, But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Okay, part two. I'm thinking of part two as well because there's so many things I want to talk about my experience being here, the things that have manifested. Okay, like we talked about all the darkness and all of the lessons, but I want to talk about all of the beauty that comes on the other side of obedience. Whew, that just gave me chills saying it because I'm just like, yeah, it got to be a part two because there's so many things that I want to actually write out. Like, so many things that have manifested as a result of me being obedient. So many things. So many things. So many things have manifested as a result of me being obedient. Like, it's just so beautiful to sit here and think about and reflect on. And I know myself well enough to know that, like, I'm emotional. And if I try to sit here and think about it right now, it's going to turn into a full blown praise party. So I'd rather come back when I have it like, kind of outlined, more structured, so I can give it to you in a clear way rather than just me rambling about things. But just know I'm a start to close this. If you have questions, throw your questions in the comment section. Thank you, y'all, so much for just being so supportive about this and sharing your comments and all of that. But yeah, I want to say that if you feel I'm getting hot. Let me I had to take my sweater off. If you feel that um, God is leading you somewhere or leading you to something or away from something, to trust it, even if it doesn't make sense to you. Um, and also, let me also add a third piece to that. If God is leading you to something, leading you away from something, or if God is telling you to stay, to trust the process. That has been on my spirit all day for whatever reason. Trust the process, trust the process, trust the process. And maybe it was for this live stream because maybe somebody needs to hear that right now. But trust the process. Trust the process. It may not make sense. You may not understand why you're in this space right now, why you're in a physical location, why you're at the job, why you're, whatever it is, whatever that question mark is that you have in your life, you may not understand right now, but trust the process and be obedient to the next step that God is presenting for you. Because there's always a next step, whether it's small, whether it's big, there's always something that God places on our hearts for us to do. And for me, my next step when I was in LA, one of the biggest things that God told me to do was serve. And while I was there, I was serving. I would go to Skid Row at least once a month and volunteer. I would volunteer, feed the homeless. I would just serve, just be out in community with God's people and see the realities of life in a way that, when you see LA on TV and how it's glamorized, you don't see that part of LA. They don't show you Skid Row on LA. They don't show you that when you watch um TV shows about it. And if they do, it's real quick, right? But God placed it on my heart to serve while I was there. And I think by me doing that, the desire and the overwhelming feeling of like there's an urgency attached to my purpose. There's an urgency attached to your purpose. It was like that became so clear when I was out there serving to the point where I felt convicted like I have to do this nonprofit. Yeah, I'm scared. Yes, I don't know what it means to be a nonprofit founder. Yeah, I don't know what it means to have a 501(c)(3). I don't understand what any of that means. Nobody in my family had a 501(c)(3). Nobody in my family, not many people in my family had businesses that I could turn to and be like, how do you do this? What's this? What's that? But because God placed it on my heart in the beginning of 2020 to serve, and I committed to that service throughout the year, despite what I was going through, despite when I had a job or when I didn't have a job. Actually, I served more when I didn't have a job. I was just like, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know what's coming next. But I know one thing. I know this is the next step. This is what God told me to do right now. So this is what I'm going to do right now. So I'm out there in Skid Row without a job, serving people who are homeless, not even sure if I'm going to be in LA in the next month because I'm like, I don't even know what's next. But I was obedient to what God was telling me to do in that season. And as a result, it gave me the clarity and the conviction to say, you know what? I can't allow my fear and my uncertainty to stop me from doing what God is telling me to do, which is to start this nonprofit. So, yeah, if that's where you are, if you feel like, God has given you a next step and you're in a season where you're either being told to stay, to go, or whatever it is, like just listen to that. Trust that. Trust that feeling, trust that spirit, trust that knowing because God is real. Like God is so real. When I think about all of the things that God allowed me to miss this closely, all of those creepy people that I cross paths with, and the fact that I'm able to even like be here sharing this and able to laugh about it because I was not harmed. Okay, I was not harmed. I was not touched. I was not scarred. I was not even breathed on. Okay, like God is so real, and we have to listen when He speaks. We have to. We have to. We can't afford not to. We can't afford not to. Individually, we can't afford not to. And I believe that if you're watching this, you're probably a person that has a purpose, a big purpose that affects other people attached to your life. And you probably already know what that is because that's the people that are drawn to me. So if you're here, you probably already have that. You probably already have a thing in your mind that you're like, yep, this is the thing that God has been speaking to me about. And if you don't, I pray that you get that. I pray that you continue to seek those answers and seek that clarity because it's real. So I feel on my spirit to pray right now. You know how we used to do back in the day when I used to do my live streams. I feel it so heavily. So if you're into it, you want to stick around and pray, let's pray. If you're not, that's not your thing. That's cool too. Thank you for being here. There will be a part two where we'll talk about dating. I'll talk more about my experiences in Charlotte and all of that stuff. But for now, we're going to pray. Hi, Daisy. You came at the perfect time and we're about to pray. So, if you're here, if you're here, you can hear my voice. Even if you can't close your eyes, just in your spirit, I ask that you allow these words to just resonate and to connect with you. Dear Heavenly Father, we come here before you today, just expressing gratitude for the opportunity to be in each other's presence because you told us that where two or more gather, that your presence is here. And I feel your presence, God. And I pray that the women and men, every person that's watching or listening, feels your presence too, God. And I just thank you for leading this conversation. I thank you for guiding this conversation. I thank you for guiding my words. I thank you for guiding my actions, not just today, but every day that led up to this moment, God. I thank you for all the protection that you have wrapped us all in order for us to be in this moment right now. I have no idea what the people on the other side of this live stream have experienced and been through over the last year or so. I have no idea what they've been through, God. Only you know that. But I trust, Lord, that if they're here right now in this moment, God, that is for a reason, that they're supposed to be here in this moment, even if they're listening to the replay, God, that you placed it on their heart for them to know that they need to trust you, that they need to listen to whatever that next step is that you gave them, that ties into their vision or their purpose that you've placed on the inside of them, that they need to take heed to that and to be obedient to it, God. And I ask that you give them the strength and the courage to do so, God. I ask that you help them to see that their fears are just an illusion, that their fears are simply trying to protect them, but that you have a greater plan for them, God. You have a bigger plan for them. And that means that they have to step outside of their own way and allow you to take control of their path. So, God, I ask that you give them the courage to do so right here today. And I ask that if anyone, by happen chance, just stumbled across this live stream and they don't know who you are, they don't have a relationship with you, God, I pray right now in this moment, Lord, that you soften their heart, that you give them direction on what to do next, that you give them resources and people that they can reach out to, even including myself, to learn more about you, to learn more about your word, to learn more about your ways and how they can start to build a relationship with you, God. I pray all these things in your name. Amen. Mm, y'all got me messing up my makeup. Got me messing up my makeup. But look, it's all for good cause because when the spirit leads, okay? Amen. Yes. Yes, you'll be able to watch the replay. Once I end this, it will continue. It will be up here so you can go back and watch it. Um, yes, amen, amen, amen. Thank you all so much for being here. You have no idea how much this fills me with joy to know that, you actually care. Because I was really concerned. I was like, nobody's gonna care. They're not gonna show up. But here y'all are showing up, engaging, present, and I'm glad that it's resonating. So thank you so much for being here. Happy Friday. We will definitely have a part two. I'm not sure when the part two will be, but there will be a part two. And also, I just want to say now that most likely my videos here on YouTube are probably going to be live streams from this point forward because I don't have the bandwidth to edit videos. I'm just not in that space. Um, so yeah, that's probably where we will be. Um, Yes, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like. Thank you. Look, favorite diva always coming through, okay? I appreciate that. Oh, this is fake. Thank you though. But yeah, Noma says this was a gift to me because I have been hearing God's word to move and have been struggling with that. Wow. Wow. I'm so happy you're here. So happy that it resonates. Um, but yeah, there will be a part two. We're gonna talk about dating. We're gonna talk about all the other the positive things that have manifested as a result of my obedience and taking another scary leap. But I love y'all for real. I really do. Like I just love this community. I love the space. I love that y'all are always here for me and just supportive. Um, and I think that's everything. Oh, I did want to mention one last thing. If you want to support the nonprofit, you want to learn more about the nonprofit, the website is live. Okay, you can donate, you can share, you can sign up to be a facilitator, a volunteer. Yeah, so just check out the website um, and follow us on Instagram. Also, I just dropped the links in the chat. And yeah, I think that's it. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all so, so much for being here. Y'all are amazing. Amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Um, yeah, that's it. Have a good Friday. See you later. Yes, see you on Instagram, and I will see you in part two of this video. Okay, bye guys.